sociological eye and conflict theory. I think conflict theory was a great way to represent this video because in the 1960s and 70s we saw a lot of a different view of environmental activism than we do today. I believe that it was more positively regarded in the 1960s and 70s than it is now, and I really wanted to go through why we see such a big change in that. So in the beginning of the video, the authors were talking about presidents like Lyndon B. Johnson, Nixon, and JFK. So there was a lot of positive viewpoints with environmental activism, especially with Lyndon B. Johnson. He's the one that kind of started the environmental awakening, and that was shown in the media as it was shown that he saved 234 million acres. With that, he created national parks. He created the National Forest Reserve, and then even his wife was a big conservationist, and it was known in the media that she was a bird watcher, and so was he. And then through 1946 through 1991, about 1,054 nuclear bombs were dropped, and this was a huge conflict with the American people because, that's not good for the environment, it's not good for the air we breathe, and this created such a public uproar and conflict that President JFK created the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. And so the public demand also for clean air and clean water was so prominent that President Nixon was documented to be basically forced into signing the Environmental Protection Agency. And so I took that as a sociological eye, because just as, one person may not believe that they can make a difference, but when one person says something, that can create more people to say something. So when we have such a large public uproar for wanting clean water and clean air, someone like the President of the United States can end up hearing you and seeing you and doing something about it. And through that, we kind of saw a positive domino effect where even Disney, in the Disney movies, they started to show how to protect wildlife. And that even led to passing the Endangered Species Act. So that's really cool to show, even just a slight, children's media can come to have the environmental impact. And then this even brought out with the clean air and clean water, Nixon even did the environmental impact statements every year. So that was, that never happened before, and that was really nice to see by the American people that the president, kind of cared, or at least, wanted the American people to think that he cared. So going forward through that, even the New York Times started documenting everything about the environment. And New York Times Magazine was even saying that our carbon dioxide would lead to polar regions turning into jungles. So that was creating a little bit of, a hysterical moment for the American people, and it pushed more for progressive activism for the environment. And so it even led to being in 1960, so this was when JFK was involved, and everybody loved JFK. Not that I was really around for it, but as we all know, even Time Magazine named scientists as the person of the year, not even JFK. So that was a huge statement to the American people that, what we really prioritize right now are the scientists and not just, public figures. And then, so during that time, the environment was seen as a rights issue, and it became very politicized, unfortunately. And so that's kind of where we see the downfall and the conflict of how we used to view environmental activism compared to how we do now. And now it's very, polarized, and it's seen as, you're a Democrat if you care about the environment, and you're a Republican if you care about, guns and the economy, which is absolutely ridiculous, and it's silly that we've reached that point. So questions that I formed while viewing the Society Foundation is that why is it no longer regarded as a positive aspect? Because we all breathe this air, we all drink the water, and I don't understand how it became so polarized. And from what I was seeing with this, I kind of blame the media. You know, the media has really become the people's voice, and I'm not seeing the people's voice really being brought out. I'm just seeing kind of this clickbait and fear mongering. So with the conflict theory and the sociological eye now, the conflict explains like the resistance and the strain that we're seeing. So as an American citizen, I know that I care about the environment. Everyone I know cares about the environment. And from what I'm seeing in the media now, so we know like environmental activists like Greta Thunberg, she's not really regarded in a positive light, and she's kind of being made fun of. Normally when I see media about her, it's that she's just getting arrested or she has Asperger's, and not how she's positively trying to create change for our environment. So we know that climate change is a direct threat to humanity, and our emissions have increased considerably by 14.9 million to 34 billion. And we're seeing that like we have higher rates of cancer, and it's just very interesting that none of this is being really portrayed through the media, and it's very apparent that you can see how even like presidents aren't really allowed to discuss it anymore. So presidents are normally going for, you know, student loan forgiveness and gun rights, but nobody's talking about the environment, and I would like to know why. And it's just because that has like such a negative connotation now. I really enjoyed the article, 10 Mistakes in War on Climate Change. It describes how polarized it began, and how much like the New York Times magazine was saying that the polar regions would turn to jungles. That was highly exaggerated, and that's one of the mistakes. I think that the media needs to be truthful about what is happening with our environment, and it had created a lot of disbelief with the American people, and just kind of like, clickbait, fear mongering, and this has really become kind of like either it's a catastrophe or like a hoax, and unfortunately that is having a huge effect in the policy making process. So it also, I also liked that the way that as just an individual that you can kind of combat these environmental issues, that you can support, small agricultural farmers, you can promote green energy, and that's not saying that you have to go buy a battery operated car, because mining for batteries is bad also. But I just liked, that even like in your workplace, you can try to promote clean energy and environmental activism. So thank you so much.